your life for your family and future generations. I'm Roy Mowat, founder of Lifetime Private Autobiography, created to capture my father's stories and voice through regular personal interviews. Don't just take my word for it. Allie in Boston gave her father his very own private autobiography.
It's hard to give your father something. Like he gave me everything. The idea that I could actually give him a gift that had real meaning, that wasn't just some silly throwaway gift for another year of a holiday. So I know I'm giving him that gift of remembering really happy times. You can't give someone more than that. I literally cannot believe the price. It's very inexpensive for what you get.
Give the gift of a lifetime and contact us on privateautobiography.com or call 833-200-7474. That's 833-200-7474.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. I am Michael Devine. Tell the truth, make it matter, and never be boring. You can always join the program by calling 515-955-1400. That's 515-955-1400. You can join us on YouTube. Go to 1400 KVFD on YouTube, and there's audio and video there of what's happening in this studio. You'll see the fabulous, well, I guess I'd call him one of the senior vice presidents of truth, Terry Minke. Councilman Terry Minke, poet, laureate, porn star, philosopher, warrior king of the city council.
All the above.
All of the above. Optometrist, too, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Humble Terry Minke.
That'd be me.
I think if you were in the radio business, that should be your name. Humble Terry Minke.
I was thinking more professional wrestling.
What, professional wrestling?
Yeah.
Well, what would we have then? Terrible something. Terry the Terrible or...
something similar to that.
Monkey. There's a...
Yeah. Somebody would come up with something, wouldn't they?
Yes, they would. Yes, they would.
Yeah. So
it wasn't a big leap for Terry Bollea. He just came up with the last name Hogan, and then he thought, Hulk, all right.
Yeah.
Saw that old 70s TV show. Remember that old 70s TV show?
Yeah, I remember a lot of 70s. Unlike you, I was sober and clean and working for the Sister Mary Teresa.
So you had no fun whatsoever.
No fun whatsoever.
You were boring in the 70s.
Yeah, I still am.
Come on.
I still am. Actually, I still am.
Terry the Boring.
Pretty consistent with my behavior. I was trying to get organized over here because I don't know what you're going to ask me. So
of course we're going to talk about the city council meeting.
I want to be prepared.
Right.
Yeah, here I am, prepared.
So I want to know whether Feerick is the council's lackey, you particularly, or whether the council, you particularly, is Feerick's lackey.
Well,
Feerick and I talked about that yesterday.
Yeah, David has a very good relationship, I think, with the current council, quite unlike in years past when, they wanted...
Half the council wanted to fire him, and
yeah,
a few of them, remember a few of the guys that ran for council?
Yeah,
they had in their plan to fire David Feerick and Denny Plouts.
Yeah, well, we don't have to worry about Denny.
Their life was full of accomplishment.
Denny is unfireable by the council, but David, we do... I guess he does theoretically work for us as well as Mark Crimmins, and you can imagine those two trying to get rid of them, and Jeff Nemmers. So, I mean, David, I think...
Yeah, that was the plan then, wasn't it? Fire everybody.
Everybody and start out fresh.
Right.
Yeah. With what? I mean, how do you improve on...
Yeah.
I think we've got a good team over there, and I've always said that. The staff is top-rated. I think David does a great job. He controls the personnel well and keeps us out of trouble. And Jeff does an excellent job on the finances, as we discussed, in past. And even Monday night, we were running us through the budgets and whatever. I think we've got some very good people, and I really don't anticipate us having any problems keeping David around as long as he wants to stay around.
Oh, I think he does.
Yeah.
So the answer is...
It's probably he'll want to get...
You are his lackey.
Yeah.
When was the last time here? Just so everybody knows how the world works, I think a lot of time people think that the council comes up with some of these ideas, or the council comes up with an idea to renovate the John Prey water facility or any of these things. But that's not the way it works,
no,
is it?
I mean, we have, David told me when I got on the council, he'd let me do one thing every 2 years.
One thing every 2 years?
Yeah, so my first thing was the steps. And we got that taken care of.
That
the steps
was your big deal.
Yeah, and then we started working on the dams, which was my second term.
He has saved us. He built new steps.
No, I think we have a lot of good interaction. I mean, most of the things are brought up by staff, obviously, because they're more intimately involved in the operations of
Intimate.
Yeah, and there's a lot of times when we are kind of brought into the fray when, say, somebody wants new trucks and things like that.
Right.
You know, that's, you know, we are brought in and discussed about those kind of things. And, you know, obviously the big economic development drivers, I mean, that starts at a different level than council, because we basically look at the numbers and things like that, trying to smooth everything out. But, you know, to come up with a idea as far as improving water quality and things like that, typically that's the engineer's job. And
Kim didn't come up with that?
well, Kim, I'm sure, has added a few little thoughts every once in a while, but you know, no, most of that comes from need or DNR requirements or state requirements, like our reverse osmosis plant. So a lot of these things, you know, we get involved in and we have a lot of discussions about, but it's primarily is how we're going to pay for it and, you know, what do we have to do to make this work. So
Sure.
original ideas, I think occasionally we bring them up. You know, a lot of the things we brought up in the past, you know, especially like Olson Park and things like that, even the Al Henderson renaming of, you know, Expo Park. Things like that are a lot of times driven by council, but, you know.
Are we going to get that done, Pastor Henderson Expo Park, or
Well,
is it going to be some old rich white dude that's been gone for years, or what?
No, I think, you know, the plan is basically we're redoing a park, and we're going to change the entire direction of the park. It's not going to have swing sets or anything like that. It's going to be more or less a sculpture garden, and with pathways and maybe a gazebo of some type. And they're planning on a lot of flower gardens. Master gardeners are going to be working with the plan. So it's not necessarily going to fit the, you know, the park definition. It's going to be more of a destination area, more of a relaxing stroll through, you know, the park. And it was my opinion that now is the time, if we're going to do it, is to change the name. I've done some research. Expo Park obviously is embedded in everybody's memory, just like Big Bear and you know, whatever else.
Oh, taking a shot at me now. Huh?
Yeah,
Well,
taking
you're
a shot
right.
at you.
I still drive out on Highway 20 looking for Big Bear in the disco den.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we're attached to a lot of these names, but Expo Park, you know, 1928 is when Expo. Basically the expedition gardens out there, whatever they called it, expedition site, where they had roller coaster administration buildings, which a couple of them still remain out there. That was sold to the city in 1930, and in the late 20s is when it kind of disbanded out there. So the city took it over to develop the housing out there and to make it into a park. And so it really, the name is just a recognition of what was there 90 years ago. And with the renovation and rejuvenation of that park, now would be the time to look at a new name as far as I'm concerned. And of course, Pastor Al, as we've talked about, you know, his influence in the community extended beyond his church. He influenced
certainly.
a lot of people. We've had a lot of support from the police, the fire, you know, the highway patrol, EMS. I mean, we've got letters of support from all the people that he worked with and interacted with. And, you know, nobody has ever said a bad word about Pastor Al. I mean, I've had people just in the last week.
Fine man.
Yep. You know, he would come by and visit people and, you know, do his thing. And, you know, I didn't know him as a minister necessarily. I knew him more as a gentleman that I worked with and interacted when I worked with the fire department and various, even with the backpack program, we worked with them a number of years ago. So my exposure to him is on a little bit different level than his pastor role. And I think that's the thing is that he influenced a lot of people, and I think he deserves to be recognized.
Oh, I do too. I heard Dan Payne's name
Yeah.
suggested, and Dan Payne, another great Fort Dodge man who had a big influence in our town, who everybody liked.
Yep.
You know, he was a great guy. But I think if Dan Payne were here with us today, he'd want that park named after Reverend Henderson.
You know, and I don't think
I think we should make some acknowledgement of Dan Payne's
yeah,
contribution.
we have
to
a
work.
street named after Dan, but again, I think
We do.
Dan, you know, basically did a lot of work with Parks and Rec, and I think
Yes, he did.
something at Harlan Rogers would be more reflective of his contributions. You know, we did reach out to the Henderson family. That was part of the concern, was to make sure that they were on board. And to tell you the truth, they were a little hesitant at first to have any recognition for Pastor
Oh, really?
Al.
Okay.
But I met with them. I went out to breakfast with Chris, his wife, and Candy, one of his daughters, and we talked about it. And, you know, I think via those conversations and the fact that if we're also going to honor, hopefully honor first responders and their role in the community, we're going to hopefully create some kind of a, you know, it's not necessarily, I hate to call it a memorial, but let's just say a place where people can be honored for their contributions. And I think with the name of the park being changed and with the the direction of the park being changed, it's just a logical thing. And this isn't my idea. It wasn't anybody that came forward with this. I actually was down there talking to somebody, Joyce in the finance department, and David and TJ Pingle were meeting, and they called me in, and David is actually the one that recommended renaming Expo Park after Pastor Henderson.
Outstanding idea.
Yeah. So we've
So
taken.
when can we expect Central Avenue to be known as Minky Street?
I think that was tried by a former councilman, wasn't it?
I don't know if Central, but yeah, we were going
Yeah,
to
right,
name
it
a
was
street
pretty-
after a councilman at his request.
My thought was to put a statue for Dave Flattery in the roundabout, but that kind of
Dave?
Yeah, I thought it'd be nice to have a little statue, about an 18-footer.
No, well, Dave's Catholic. Maybe we could have him on the cross somewhere out by St. Edmund or something.
Yeah, and I recognize that people don't like to be memorized. You don't want to change tradition. You don't want to change names. You don't want to misdirect. But I mean,
Well,
Expo
Exposition Park, I don't know
means
where that
nothing.
name came from.
It
Yeah,
came from,
but
it came from what was there 100 years ago. And,
Yeah.
And again, it's I think time for a change with the new park. And I recognize that people don't like that. We've had a little bit of pushback, on social media, and I haven't had anybody.
that's because
face-to-face.
social media crabs about everything.
Yeah, well, there's very few positive comments on there. But again, I think if you
Somebody
do
even tore up your Christmas tree light thing the other day.
Yeah, I
Did
saw
you-
that.
or a couple of
I
people
saw it,
did.
and then deleted it. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, they deleted it later that night.
Oh, after you called them and threatened them?
No, I sat back on that because I couldn't believe. First off, the complaint was that it was dark.
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 Yeah. Last time I noticed, about 5 o'clock, the whole world around here.
Whole
becomes dark.
world around
Yeah,
here
it
gets
becomes
dark. That
yeah.
is full show.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to see lights when it's dark. But yeah, but anyway, the Pastor L thing we did. We had a series of petitions that went out. There was an online petition which doesn't carry a lot of weight because you don't really get all the identifying features you need. But there was a petition with the addresses that was presented to Parks and Rec on the 2nd, I think, the 2nd of December. And we had about 1,500 signatures, which is a substantial number of people. And there was also, I can tell you, a majority of the council members also signed the petition, so it's going to be hard to turn that down if and when it comes in front of council. Parks and Rec does have policies on name changes, and it's again, they don't want any knee-jerk reactions. They don't want people to so and so died. We want to have something named after him. And so the standard procedure is to wait 2 years. And we thought with the park changes that are happening that we could at least approach the Parks and Rec people, let them know that this is what we support. And so TJ made a presentation, and they took it under advisement.
Great.
Yeah, Michael Payne is the director, and Lori said.
Who's the director?
Michael Payne is the chairman of the Parks and Rec Commission right
Manager Mike, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And Mark Campbell is the vice chair. So, yeah, but Lori said that they.
Campbell's the vice chair of the whole world, isn't he?
Every time you turn around, there's Campbell. Yeah, but it's they want to change their master plan for the parks. They want to look at that, and I don't know if it was a delaying tactic or what to give them a little bit of breathing time. They knew it was coming. I talked to Lori several weeks before this petition drive even started to let her know that there was a request, because initially they were looking at renaming Chronicle Square right across from City Hall, which was vandalized not too long ago. I didn't know if you knew that.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, they got that cleaned up. But
Where's Chronicle Square?
that would be the Chronicle is the name of the sculpture on 9th and
Right.
First South.
Across from the Warden.
Yeah, across from the Warden, across from City Hall.
City Hall, yeah.
Yeah, and
City Hall, we should rename that the Bemrick Building
yeah,
as
we
long
should.
as we're
Yeah,
renaming
just
business.
carve it in up above. But we, after David made the suggestion, I think that kind of took some feet and wings or whatever you want to call it, and ran with it. So the master plan for the city parks, I don't know where that is as far as in the long-term planning process. I know most of the department heads now are very busy with their budgets, and so that's probably not a top priority. Hopefully we can get it done this spring before we get into the aquatic center, golf course, everything else going on as distractions. But we're hoping that hopefully next spring we can get some kind of movement forward. But again, there's a lot of support, but we also recognize people's concerns. But I think it's a good idea.
You think it's a good
I
idea
think it's a good idea. to rename the park.
Exposition Park after
Yep.
Reverend Henderson.
Yep.
I'm with you all the way.
Okay. Thank you for your support.
All right. Oh, yeah, my support will do it.
Yeah, your support
there we go.
Yeah.
That's
And also
you've
at that-
turned the corner.
Yeah, just like your endorsement during the campaign, everybody's saying, please don't endorse me.
Well, a couple of your councilmen are out. I can tell you that. I thought I did endorse. I think I did endorse Allstott and Halter, and then they never showed up on my program again. So let's rename the landfill the Allstott and Halter landfill.
Yeah. Actually, kind of a side note, Dan Payne was a big supporter of Veterans Park, and
Yes.
CVB was a big supporter of Veterans Park. And I told Dan that we were getting a new restroom out at Veterans Park, and he wanted to know if we would put his name on the restroom. And I said, I think we could arrange that. A little
Oh,
plaque.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it'd be any problem. That's the difference. With
That's an old Vietnam story.
No, I don't know.
If a Marine or a soldier was killed, sometimes they would request the latrine be named after them.
Oh.
And the reasoning was everybody, if they named the chapel after them, for example, not everybody would go to the chapel. Maybe a minority of the troops would go to the chapel, but everybody goes to the latrine. So if it's named Johnson Latrine,
Yeah.
Sergeant Johnson Latrine, everybody thinks of Sergeant Johnson.
Every time they go in.
Every time they go in, and everybody's got to go.
Yeah. Well,
So there you go.
yeah, that's pretty deep. Yeah.
No, it
also-
wasn't deep, but it was a real story. It was a real story from the Vietnam years.
Yeah. The other thing that they talked about at Parks and Rec, I haven't been here since that meeting, I don't think, but the Gypsum Miners will now be playing out at Harlan Rogers this
Oh,
next
excellent.
year. Yeah.
That'll be better.
So they're contracted. I think they've got 15 or 16 games that they're going to play out there. Obviously, they're if St. Ed's plays on that field too, if St. Ed's gets rained out with one of their games, the Gypsum Miners would probably be bumped a little bit. The biggest thing is that they want to be able to get the beer sales because they deal with adults and they have to be careful with the beer sales. And so,
Well, I hope we can still find plenty of use for Patterson Field.
yep, I think Patterson Field will continue to grow and change. I'm not sure that this caliber of ball that they were playing, that Patterson was really the best place for them. I think there was
Maybe
some
not.
concern. I think somebody told me there were some dips in the outfield or something that may have been a little. I'm not a ball player. I mean, Nevin Conrad would be able to tell you better than me. And of course, Nevin's on the board or whatever for Patterson Field, so I'm sure that he would tell you that everything should be out there. But Patterson's a great little facility. My kids played out there for years, but I think at this level of play, these are college kids, and they play hard ball, and they're actively involved in the community. I know Ann Meyer had a couple of them stay in her
I think
house
she
last
did,
year.
yeah.
She was a big
Ann and
supporter.
Jim, yeah.
Yeah, and they did a good job last year. I'm not sure how their attendance was. I haven't heard the attendance numbers, but
either. They're going again.
yeah,
That's
they're
a
going
good-
again, so they must have been happy with the way it went. But they will be playing out there, I think, starting in March. So
Oh, great.
Yeah, a little early in the year for baseball, but
I hear Chad has a new title over there.
well,
at the
everybody,
city.
that's one.
Chief of Operational Development. That is the perfect bureaucratic term and title because nobody knows what the hell it means. Sounds impressive. Nobody knows what Chad's going to do now.
Yeah, I've made the discovery here fairly recently. It's been pointed out that we have a lot of chiefs and not very many Indians.
I was going to say, yeah.
I mean, we're promoting people left and right and giving them new business cards, and you're going, it's the same old person as far as I can tell. And I don't know how their responsibilities change. I mean, David is in charge of personnel. It's not my position or the council's position to really get involved in that, although we have to a certain degree. But it's, some of these titles, I know David probably lays awake at night thinking of these things.
Chief of Operational Development.
Yeah, there's just,
I don't really have a title here. Everybody else, there have been some people who have titles who presume to be in charge of me, who I don't think were all there, but they had these titles. So I got to come up with one of my own.
Yeah. Well, even a
Executive Vice President in charge of emptying the trash in the KVFD studio or something.
Even a secretary isn't a secretary anymore.
No.
Yeah, you can't call him that. A janitor isn't a janitor.
No.
I mean, I don't know. It just everybody's got these fancy titles, and all it does is just create more business for the business card people. I don't know if it makes any difference. They probably get a bump in pay, which is probably nice, but again, it doesn't really define what they do. I mean, Chad, they moved him, and he's kind of in his hobbit hole over there at City Hall.
Hobbit.
Yeah, and I usually
Chad's a hobbit now?
Yeah.
Wow.
I usually go to him with a lot of the engineering questions, and then he tells me that Tony's supposed to be answering those questions. Well, Tony's a little hard to find sometimes. He's out in the field quite a bit. But Chad is very well informed with most of the projects that are happening around here, and he's heavily involved in like the retail coach, and things like that. With the new mall development, he'll probably be involved in a lot of that. So I think a little broader title than engineer is probably important. But again, it would be nice to know what he did.
How about executive chief of operational development?
Sure. Did he get a Cadillac with that?
I don't think so. No, he just gets more work.
Yeah, more work. Yeah, that's just what he needs. I think he's already got 2 computer monitors. I don't know how many more he can handle.
No, well, he can do more than that. He's a younger man than we are. He can handle it.
He's from South Dakota. He got a degree from South Dakota. Yeah.
Who did, Tony?
Oh, Chad.
Oh, Chad. Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah,
I thought we were talking about Tony.
No.
Young guy like you get ahead of me sometimes.
I know. It's easy to do.
All right. Well, listen, I remember back in the heyday of General Motors, they actually had an executive vice president of headrests on the passenger side and on the driver's side, both.
Perfect.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge 232.
It's coming. Flu season will be here before you know it. Don't let the flu get to you. Go to Daniel Pharmacy now for your flu and pneumonia shots. If you need a prescription filled, remember, Daniel Pharmacy offers you medication services, including medication adherence and synchronization, immunizations, and private consultation. Daniel Pharmacy carries durable medical equipment, including lift chairs, scooters, walkers, and more. Daniel Pharmacy on the corner of 12th and Central Avenue, Fort Dodge. Daniel Pharmacy, caring for you and about you for over 50 years.
As the nation's leader in pork production and pork exports, Iowa's pork producers are doing things right. It's their ethical and moral responsibility. Hog farmers keep their pigs safe and healthy, safeguard natural resources, protect public health, and build strong communities every day. Pork quality, responsible production, and continuous improvement are roles they take very seriously. Iowa's pork producers, producing safe, affordable food. Sponsored by Iowa's pork producers and their pork checkoff.
The Webster County pork producers remind you when it comes to protecting their family's health, Iowa's pig farmers are some of the most concerned people around. Safe, affordable, delicious, and nutritious pork can be served for your dinner tonight. Roasted, grilled, stewed, sautéed, stir-fried, broiled, kebabbed, sauced, dipped, sandwiched in your new recipes and your old recipes. Why not buy some pork today and serve it up tonight? This message brought to you by the Webster County pork producers, striving to serve people, pigs, and the planet.
I need results, so I choose the one system I trust to take weeds down and keep them down on even my toughest acres. With the Roundup Ready Extend crop system, I get the proven performance of Roundup Ready 2 Extend soybeans, combined with XtendiMax herbicide with Vapor Grip technology for control of more weeds than any other soybean system. Up to 14 days of soil activity on labeled weeds, and the kind of yield potential that helps keep me in the black. All to deliver my kind of results, season after season. I choose the Roundup Ready Extend crop system. I choose results. See why the Roundup Ready Extend crop system continues to be the #1 soybean system planted by farmers when you visit RoundupReadyExtend.com. XtendiMax is a restricted use pesticide. Performance may vary. Always read and follow grain marketing and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions. Check local regulations for specific requirements in your state.
I'm April from Lizard Creek Ranch and Event Center. This holiday season, our thoughts turn to those who have made our progress possible. We thank you and send our best wishes for the holidays. We look forward to serving everyone in the new year at Lizard Creek Ranch and Event Center, Fort Dodge.
This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. It's 2:35. I'm Michael Devine. Let's take a look at the weather, shall we? Don't you love somebody who asks a question that can't be answered? Let's do this anyway. 15 degrees right now. Cloudy later on. Our high may be 17. Get excited about that. Our wind chill factor temperature will be 0 overnight. A chance of snow once again, mostly cloudy, with a temperature rising to 26 by 5 a.m. Tomorrow, again, a chance of snow, mostly cloudy, with a high of 37. Friday, rain and snow, then a chance of snow, mostly cloudy, with a high of 38. It's about as good as it's going to get for, well, I don't know, until May, I suppose. On Saturday, there's a chance of snow, mostly cloudy, with a high of 18. Sunday, sunny with a high of 17. Monday, sunny with a high of 26. Tuesday, it'll be sunny with a high of 27 degrees. Right now in Fort Dodge, it's 15 degrees. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Ruth Olmsted of Fort Dodge has died. She died last Saturday at the age of 70 at Trinity Regional Medical Center. There will be a prayer service going on right now, really, here in town for Ruth.